Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocket.radio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
Good morning to you. It is Coffee Ann time on ON Radio, bright and sunny, but really cold on this Leap Day 2024 on February 29th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Joe Callahan, and with me at the Coffee Ann table, we say good morning and hi to Attorney Bob Lauder.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Good to have you here with us, and we expect Sue Tester McKenzie from the Blackstone Valley Call Times to join us as well. I do not have a law question to stump you.
That is fine because I have a question
that.
to ask you.
All right, let's go with your question right off the bat.
Last night I met your brother Kevin.
Yes.
Kevin is younger than you are.
Yes, by 4 years.
Kevin was saying how much smarter he is than you when it comes to sports.
He follows it a little closer than I do.
What kind of a big brother allows a little brother to diss him like that? I mean, that's some serious.
I give him full credit. And
you're going to. Oh, I was going to challenge you guys to some kind of.
I knew you would, and then I'd really look foolish when he defeats me.
Yeah.
So I just give it all kudos to him.
Darn,
he knows it a lot. He knows a lot more than me.
I was hoping I could set you up for a big slam, man, and you're just going to be generous and acknowledge it.
If you remember what he said, I'm better at sitcom trivia.
Okay,
so there you go.
That doesn't have the same credits as being great
as the
at
sports. But speaking of sports,
yes,
Bob, kudos. Go out to the Rhode Island College women's basketball team.
Okay,
who are 27-0.
Wow,
this season.
That's amazing.
They are ranked third in the nation.
27-0, and you're third. What are the other two doing?
Well, maybe they're the same, and then you go down to how many points are being scored and things like that, or how many points against you. So, they look at those things. But third in the nation in Division III women's basketball.
Fantastic.
And they won the what's called Providence College. They're in Division I. They play in the Big East. Rhode Island College Division III. Their conference is called the Little East because they're smaller.
All right.
4 years in a row, they've won their championship.
Wow.
So now they start to go for the national championship amongst other Division III colleges. Their first game, if you want to go, is Saturday at Rhode Island College.
Who are they
playing?
At
8 o'clock, they're playing St. Joseph's of Maine in the first game. I don't know how many games they actually play to win the national championship, but just like the big guys, just like Division I, the Division III national champion is played somewhere in the United States.
Okay.
March Madness for the Division I, it's usually Indianapolis is big, or they go to Miami, or they go to Orlando, or they go to LA. So that's big. But these girls they'll go somewhere in the Midwest. So it's more of it's a neutral site.
All right.
Basically, so no one has the upper hand. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Rhode Island College has the upper hand tomorrow night. They'll have the home court advantage. They expect the Murray Center is the name of the gym, basically to be a sellout, mostly with students. So they expect it loud and raucous. And I say it because I'm a Rick alum, and when I went there, the basketball team men and women were okay. Went to a few games.
Right.
They were maybe a little over 500, but nothing like 27-0. This is just wow.
Now, what do the odds makers say their chances are against St. Joseph?
Well, I don't know. They don't really look at that division. They concentrate on the pros, and they concentrate on Division I. If I went down to Bally's, I wonder if I could place a bet on that game. They do college betting down there.
Do they allow it for Rhode Island teams?
I don't know. That's always some of the rules. You can't bet on the school that's in your state.
Okay.
So maybe I got to hop over the line and go to Massachusetts.
All right.
And do it there. But I don't even know if they would even take a bet on Division III basketball.
Because it's so important, or because
because no one has made odds. You were asking.
Yeah. Okay.
Rick should be the favorite team. So, but I don't know St. Joseph's record or anything like that. So I don't know if the odds makers do. So they can't determine. Well, okay, let's give them a point spread of, let's say, 10 points, just to use easy numbers.
Right.
But I don't know if they even look at that.
Now, St. Joseph's is probably a Division III team as
Yes,
well.
they are.
If Rick is so good and
Mm-hmm.
has such a great record, why are they even having a competition with another Division III team? Why don't they just get anointed and say, okay, you have done so well this year that you get this, and we'll move you right on to the next level of.
That's not how it works.
Okay.
Unless the NCAA steps in and said, okay, you've been playing so well in your Division III status,
Right.
we need to move you up. Your teams are too good. You're getting your players. You're recruiting very good players, so they would actually get bumped up if they wanted to.
Right.
Bumped up to Division II. There's a Division II as well. PC Providence College, they're the Division I. If Rick were to play Providence College, they would lose. The Providence College would beat them. Because they're just that much better.
Their women's basketball team?
Yes.
Oh.
So it's just the way it works out. So that's why Rick doesn't play PC. They do it as an exhibition.
Right.
But that's why they don't play him during the season, and they don't play him in the playoffs because they're in two different divisions.
That's amazing that two Rhode Island colleges, though, can have women's basketball teams that are so good.
Yes. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Wow.
And I've seen where Providence College men's basketball has played Rhode Island College in an exhibition game. And Providence College, from what I hear, hate it when they have to do this because it's a lose-lose situation. Well, it could be. It's a no-win situation for them because, one, it's a win-win for Rick, by the way. But one, they are Providence College is absolutely expected to win. Mm-hmm. You're the Division I team. You guys recruit from all over the country. Mm-hmm. Rick recruits from Rhode Island.
Right.
You should win.
Okay.
And when you do win, everyone goes, well, okay, you were supposed to. Mm-hmm. But if you lose...
Headline news.
How dare you lose to a team 2 divisions below you? That's embarrassing. So
that must make Rick feel real good.
They play it, and they don't like it. But what they do is pretty smart. They put in PC puts in their starters and build up a huge lead.
Right.
Okay, starters sit down. The backup players, you guys come in and play the rest of the game.
Well, that must make them feel good.
Hold the lead for us.
Yeah.
Basically. And I don't think PC has ever beaten Rick in men's basketball. No, Rick has never beaten PC.
Okay. Right.
Other way around. So
now, when they're looking for neutral ground, are they thinking of going out to Boise, Idaho?
No, because
Rats.
Division I plays in Boise. When March Madness starts in a couple of weeks, they have the regionals. So some teams play and it moves around the country. So some teams will play in Boise, then they'll play in L.A., and then some will play in Texas, and some play in Minnesota, and then there's some in New York, and some in like Charlotte, North Carolina. And then they get all the winners from those divisions to get down to 4 teams, and then those 4 teams go to one neutral site.
I was just picking on Boise because that's your hometown.
But they've gone there, and when I see them on TV, I see the court that I used to see, and like I've been there.
Hot dog.
The blue Idaho outline right in the middle of the court, and the Bronco.
Now,
right on
is
the
the
court.
blue Idaho outline just a big potato, or
No, it's the outline of the state.
Oh, okay. Just trying to figure out what it's like out there west of the Rockies.
It's fun out there. They have a good time.
Well, I understood from everything you said it's fun, but that wasn't what you were sending on the postcards back to your parents when you were out there. I'm having a great time, and this is a lot of fun. No, you did?
I never wrote back.
Oh, but even better.
No, there was no.
There's no record of what was happening out there.
No, if I needed to communicate, it was pick up the phone and call us.
And you got the criminal expungement, so there's no records anywhere.
It's funny when I was out there, there was people may remember this. I know because it was a long time ago. There was a guy out there named Claude Dallas. Okay. Sue Tesser McKenzie has joined us here in the studio. Or, hey,
looking great again.
Thanks for
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in, Sue. So there's a man out there named Claude Dallas. Claude Dallas was a guy that liked to live off the land, a real kind of separatist kind of guy. Okay. I don't like the government. I don't like other people. He was his own guy, but he was living in a tent, but on government land. Mm-hmm. So they went to go kick him out.
Right.
And he shot and killed a police officer or those guys that they take care of the parks, like a ranger. There we go. He killed a park ranger as they were trying to evict him or like that.
Yeah.
And he was on the lam, and they caught him, and they brought him to a facility in Boise. This is all before I got there. Okay, and but like 2 months before I go out there, he escaped.
Whoa.
Yes. and when I got out there, he was still roaming around.
On the run.
They weren't sure where he was. I'm like, wow. And what was funny about Claude Dallas? Women are crazy sometimes, Sue.
Oh, trust me, I
There
know.
was
You're not getting arguments here.
there were women, single women, that would show up while his case was going on, and they were called the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. Dallas cheerleaders.
The love of
They
God.
loved him, Sue. A group of about 30, from what I was told when I was out there. Show up with signs. We love you, Claude. You're the best. Marry me.
OMG.
They thought he was the greatest. I'm like, wow.
Now, wait a minute.
So
You work hard. I
Yeah.
work sort of
yeah,
hard.
we get none of that.
We get none of that.
we get none
But
of
if
that.
we were living in a tent out in the wilderness, we'd have
Convicted
groupies.
killer, yeah.
You'd have groupies.
Oh, yeah. They thought it was fantastic. Anyway, to wrap up the story, while I was out there, Claude Dallas was picked up. He had made it to California. I think he was living with somebody, but I'm not sure on that. And they got him coming out of a 7-Eleven with a bag of groceries.
Oh, that's kind
And,
of
yeah, it was very anticlimactic. Didn't put up a fight. And said, "You got me." Okay. They brought him back to Idaho, and as far as I know, he is still there. I mean, he may have passed away by now, but I'm not positive on that.
Wow.
But it was a big deal when I was out there.
What's his full name? I'll see if he's
It's
passed.
Claude Claude Dallas. That's yeah. And so yeah, it was a big. They made a movie out of it. All I remember is Claude Akins. Remember the actor Claude Akins?
vaguely.
All right, he played the park ranger that got killed
Oh,
in
geez.
the
Okay.
movie, and they spun it a different way and made Claude Akins the bad guy.
Oh,
The one that got killed seemed as the villain, and Claude was the hero in this because he was the man's man, and he was doing what he wanted to do, and we should leave him alone and all that.
Okay.
But he
Now,
killed
Sue,
somebody.
how can Joe and I get groupies without killing somebody? What do we
Okay.
have to do?
All right, so we have an update on Claude.
Yes.
She'll answer that in a minute.
He's been released after serving 12 years in prison. He is 73 years old.
Wow.
His sentence was reduced to, he was released after serving 22, hold on, I'm trying to read this without my glasses. Yeah, 22 years in prison.
All right.
But then it says his sentence was reduced by 8 years for good
Okay.
behavior.
All right.
He was released in February 2005, and since then has been cited living in, I don't know how to say this
Spell it.
correctly, Grouse Creek, Utah,
I think it's Gross
and
Creek,
in
but
the
okay.
Alaska wilderness.
Oh, he's still living off the land. Okay.
Yep.
Well, all right. Good for him. Now, Bob wants to know how we can get groupies, Sue.
Yeah.
Without killing anybody. Without
You
going
know,
without going to trial.
You have to, I'm guessing, because many men in prison apparently have these proposals
Yeah.
and letters, and this happens all the time. You got to be a bad boy. But get
Darn.
caught. But get caught. Being the bad boy and get caught.
I forget.
I don't know. I don't know.
I
don't
forget
know
what
what to tell
channel
you.
it's on, but there's a new reality TV show, and that's what it's all about.
Yep.
I found my love in Prisoner, or something like
Yep,
that. Or
yep.
my lover's in Prisoner, with something like that.
The last time I was a certifiable bad boy, I had to stay after school and clap erasers.
Right.
So
Wow.
I don't think I...
And right, I will not do that again
Yes,
35
yes.
times. Those lines, there are 26 lines, or at least there used to be 26 lines on one of those papers.
You
Really?
counted the
That
lines
would be,
on the
well,
papers?
that would be experience. The papers that I was given at 26 lines. My mother, it's kind of funny because she found this note, and it was her name written repeatedly 26 times, so that I would be able to get her signature down.
Ah.
You wrote it, or your mom wrote it for you?
Me trying to get her signature down.
Forgery.
And by the
Forgery.
end of that note, boy, let me tell you, I was Teresa Tessier.
Don't tell the lawyer this.
Whoa! I just admire somebody who plans it that well.
I didn't do anything illegal. It was merely, grade purposes, we'll say.
Okay.
Great purpose.
We'll go with that.
Okay.
All right, it's time for our first break here on the Coffee and program. More coming your way. Please stick around.
You know, when you're paying the right price for protection, you just know it. It's that warm, fuzzy, totally secure feeling, knowing that you're not only getting great coverage, but you're also not paying too much for it. And when it comes to your insurance, there's no one better at getting the right price for your protection than Allstate agents Kara and Celeste Benjamin, because they know when it comes to your bank account, every penny counts towards something bigger, something better. Like a nicer car, that home update you've been dreaming of, or a phone that's fresh out of the box. Those little or big things that we work so hard for. And Kara and Celeste Benjamin want to help you work a little less by getting you the coverage you need and the savings you deserve when you switch to Allstate. Contact Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, 2 locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. 765-5000 for a free quote today. Allstate, you're in good hands. And you're in good hands with Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. Savings vary based on the average annual savings reported by new auto customers surveyed in 2019 who switched to Allstate.
The Coffee and panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee Roasters. All their coffee is roasted right here in Rhode Island. Down East Coffee Roasters is available at all Little General stores.
Have you heard of Scott McGee with RE/MAX Properties? He's been selling real estate in Rhode Island and Massachusetts for the last 17 years, and you can see that he loves what he does. Scott, as well as his team, take pride in what they call the fair and honest team. No gimmicks. And no, they're not buying your house if it doesn't sell, etc. Just fair and honest real estate. Scott personally works with tons of sellers and buyers and specializes in residential properties as well as commercial. And he's always very fair and offers super competitive rates. Remember, this is probably the biggest move in dollars that you will ever spend or receive. You want to go with a trusted and experienced agent. Scott is fair, honest, and modest, always puts the clients first. And he also dealt with literally almost any situation. You really need to look at your real estate needs as a business. You want to pay and get the right money now so that you're not paying for it later. Trust me. So why not give Scott McGee a call at 401-639-2906. That's 401-639-2906.
It's Coffee and on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Bob Lauder, Sue Tessier McKenzie from the Blackstone Valley Call-in-Times. And Sue, time for our first message from the newspaper.
First messages are always like on the spot. Okay, so as always, we have a lot going on. We've got our spring specials. We have, and just wanted to point out that all of our specials include both print, online, digital. So we have a lot more to offer than just print. However, one thing that we do have coming up, I want to point out, because tomorrow is March 1st. March is Brain Injury Awareness Month. And as most of you know, my husband has a brain injury. So we at the Call and Times are putting together a special. The advertisers are basically the sponsors. It is $150 to participate. And you would have an ad in the Blackstone Valley Call and Times every Friday through the month of March, starting March 8th. So you get 4 weeks of ads, and a portion of those proceeds will then be donated to the Brain Injury Association of Rhode Island. So that is my near and dear to my heart. But we do have other things. We've got spring specials, which is home improvement, gardening, which runs either March, April, or May, whichever you choose. So we have a lot going on down there. Our office is fully functional and open. If you are missing a paper, just stop into the office. I want to say it's labeled as 154 Main Street, directly across from City Hall. Or you can call me 487-4136.
And there's entertainment on the street.
Oh, we...
Not organized entertainment. It's just the people that walk by.
It's kind of funny because we couldn't tell if people could see in through the glass because you know how glass can be, the reflections, etc. I mean, we have had dancers. We have had some pretty, like, really? Did I just see that? So we ended up putting some very sheer curtains up.
Yeah.
So it's a little more difficult to see in. So now if somebody's dancing, we're just assuming that they're looking at their reflection and not dancing for
Not
us
you.
anymore.
Okay.
Nope.
Let me make sure their moves are okay.
Although our friend went back by City Hall.
Did he?
Yeah,
All
this
right.
week. I was like, oh my God, there he is again.
Alrighty. So other things are going on. So
Hey, today is Sadie
yes.
Hawkins Day.
Is it?
You don't know what Sadie Hawkins Day is?
Yeah, the girls ask the guys to the dance. Isn't
Yeah,
that it?
the 29th
Okay.
of February.
So only happens every 4 years.
Once every 4 years.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
It's also Jeep Day, and I just happened to see a Jeep broken down on my way over here.
Oh,
Wow.
Jeep Day.
Yeah.
Speaking of Leap Day, we had something today on our Old Farmer's Almanac that's just fascinating. You know, because they talked about the odds of being born on Leap Day are very large, and then they said the odds of a woman having the Leap Day birthday and giving birth on Leap Day, you know, is also astronomical. But there's
Right.
a woman in Utah, I think it's Utah. She was born on Leap Day and gave birth to 3 kids, 3 different Leap Days.
Wow.
2004, 2008, 2012.
Wow. That's
She's
amazing.
the only second woman in record that has, when we write these things down, only second woman that's done it.
That takes
They didn't
planning.
they didn't say where the other
Right.
woman was. I said that's unbelievable.
That's and,
You
and
can't- you
planning.
can't even plan that.
Well, you can. You kind of
Can you?
can. Yeah. I remember when my son was born. So I ran into my aunt at a CVS store, and she said, "Oh, you know, I know you're pregnant and everything, but when are you due?" And I said, "Oh, tomorrow morning, 8:30. I got to show up so they can do the."
do
They
a
didn't do a
C-section.
C-section. They
Oh,
didn't do a
okay.
C-section. They just didn't want him to get bigger,
I see.
any larger.
Yeah.
So they induce.
Indians, okay.
So
Well,
I
maybe
knew
they
when
did
I
that.
was going.
Okay.
So
Wow. All right. Guess you can plan these things. All right. The other sad news. This is from the Boston Red Sox. Last October, a former pitcher from them passed away. Tim Wakefield
Yep.
passed away,
I heard that last night.
and they said it's sad because he passed away from cancer, but his wife was battling cancer at the exact same time,
Oh, jeez.
and she passed away yesterday, 5 months after he did.
Wow.
I can't. They have 2 kids, 2 small kids. I said I can't.
Small.
Well, let's.
Okay.
They're under 18. Let's
Oh,
say
yeah,
that.
I'm
okay.
surprised. I would have thought a player would have been much older at the time of retirement.
No, Tim was slightly younger than me, so maybe
Well, part of
early
his
50s.
retirement did it. I don't
Okay.
think had to do with the cancer either.
No, it didn't. No, he was just
at all.
He was just done. You know,
But-
you can only play so
yeah.
long.
But you know, that is extremely sad. So I
Yes.
don't take the difference being because I've talked to a lot of people who have
Mm.
lost loved ones to cancer, and while this doesn't fit for everybody, they at least had the opportunity to plan for their children.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that is the only benefit of that.
Yeah,
Because I remember when he passed, and they were talking about the wife as well.
because she was sick at the time, and she
yep,
was battling cancer.
Yep, and that's the
like, oh my
only
gosh.
positive that they were able to plan. And that's what somebody said to me last week who lost his wife to cancer.
Yeah.
And he said exactly that. He said that's the only
Mm-hmm.
benefit we had is we could talk and really plan things out.
Yeah, and get things all set up for the kids. But
Hopefully
Yeah.
with estate planning and a good lawyer. Yeah, a nice lead-in. Thank you.
yes, that's right. Because that's what Bob does. So there you go. Too bad you don't practice in Mass. You could have had Tim Wakefield as a client.
Yeah, but he'd probably have asked me sports questions, and
Oh,
Like, do you know who I am?
yeah, that would have been a first lead-in.
No. Great. All right, so that's sad news there,
Very
and
sad.
And it's really too bad for the kids who now lost both their both their
Absolutely.
parents. And
I got to meet Joe's brother yesterday. His younger brother, who is even smarter than Joe is when it comes to sports.
really?
Oh, it's like being with a Savion. It's like, whoa, this guy.
You have to bring him in.
he's much better. He might show up before you leave here. All right, I hate when these things happen, but there was another fight outside a high school basketball game. This one was in Rhode Island, down in Central Falls.
Okay.
Central Falls and West Warwick. But what's odd is 4 juveniles and 2 adults were arrested for the fight. But they keep saying the fight took place at the main entrance to the gym, so not in the gym where the game was taking place. And they say the fight was not related to the game.
Oh, all right.
It's just, I don't know if all 6 of them are from Central Falls, and they're just 2 different entities that don't like each other.
Right.
You don't know. Or let's meet up at the game. But it really had nothing to do with the game other than
Well, and that's
Okay.
the unfortunate
So that's just
thing.
where it took place.
Just like if something happens in the vicinity of Federal Hill, everybody's, up in arms. Federal Hill Association is like, whoa, that did not happen here, did not happen on Atwell's, did not have anything to do, because nobody wants to be connected to
Yeah.
a problem.
So, but you hate when you see it at the games.
Of course.
It's not. It's never good.
No.
It happened at where my daughter goes to high school. At one of the games, Mansfield was playing Sharon, and somebody yelled out a racial slur
Oh, jeez.
from the stands during the game. I said, okay. And I don't know if they stopped the game. They might have. But I know they were looking at film because they weren't sure who did it. They thought it came from the student section, but they weren't positive. So they weren't sure if it was an adult or a student. They said they were investigating. I haven't heard anything since.
Well, back in the distant past, the dark ages when I was in school, I don't recall big fights like that taking place. I remember there was a big rivalry between Woonsocket High School and Mount St. Charles. And members of either school would take their cars and drive around the other school, blowing the horns and yelling epithets about the quality of the kids in the classrooms. But that was about the extent of it.
Yeah.
And that wasn't mean-spirited so much as just trying to rile the other side.
That's what they try to do. That's what the fans try to do, and it's effective in high school. You try to rile the other team.
Yeah.
It's really effective in basketball because the fans are so close, and you're inside the gym, and it's so loud that it can affect the basketball players. But like when I was in school, they didn't go to that low common denominator for insulting the other team.
Wait a minute, you think that Woonsocket High School was a low common denominator, man?
No.
Whoa.
When
No, the
when you go to
circumstances
the
that he's
racial
talking about.
Oh, the racial. Yes.
insults, now that's the low common thing going on. So we would, try to be above that. And it's funny when they threw out a racial slur. I don't know if you were aware. You're probably not aware, but Mansfield's playing Sharon High. I don't know if you know the demographics of Sharon. Heavy,
Not that well. I know Sharon, but
heavy Jewish community.
Oh, okay.
So that's the slur they're using, not the one you're thinking of.
oh,
When you talk about what I was talking just now about Woonsocket High School and athletics, I saw an obituary in the newspaper a couple of weeks ago about one of the star athletes of my high school class, who was Richard Narcessian. He was one of the greats.
All everything.
All everything. He and Fred Harris, but Richard has passed away.
Yeah.
And he was an All-State, I believe, down at URI.
In what sport do you remember? Track, football.
He was in track. He was in football. I don't recall what element he was where he became the All-State.
Okay. All right, we'll take another break here in the Coffee and program, and it's time for the forecast. It's cold outside. This forecast
Yep.
being brought to you by Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Increasing clouds today with a high of 34, a west wind backing off to about 30 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly clear skies, overnight low of 21 with a west wind to 25 miles per hour. Friday's weather, sunshine and 45. Saturday, 70% chance of rain, cloudy skies all day and a high of 45. Sunday, mostly cloudy and 54. Only a 30% chance of showers on Sunday. Monday, mostly cloudy and 54. Tuesday, a 30% chance of some rain, cloudy and 55. And on Wednesday, a 50% chance of showers, mostly cloudy, high of 54.
Currently outside the Navigate Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street with the sun shining, we have 31 degrees. For victims of drunk and drug driving, your grief is unique, but you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call the 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org. This portion of Coffee Ann has been sponsored by the Blackstone Valley Call and Times.
You've heard it before. The world is getting smaller. Places you had to travel to years ago now seem right next door. It's no surprise, then, that all the communities of the Blackstone Valley have so much in common these days that we share common interests. Keeping up with this trend, the Blackstone Valley's two daily newspapers, The Call and The Times, have joined forces to cover the entire valley in one convenient newspaper. The Blackstone Valley's Call and Times, a paper for the entire valley. At your local store, honor box, or home delivery, 767-8522. Hi again, everyone. This is Dave Richards here, and as I'm walking up to the second floor showroom at the all-new family discount furniture store known as Coletta's Furniture at 598 Wood Avenue, Brad Coletta is with me here.
So Dave, what we have here is we have a lot more space at this location. This is actually an Ashley Power sectional with an iHome system in it.
It's got like a tablet in it that controls everything.
Correct, yeah. So all the controls for the power head, power neck, power lumbar, power feet, zero gravity, reclining sectional, runs off of that tablet. It also is a wireless charger.
It's got speakers, Bluetooth. It's got phone charging in two different ways.
Yeah, wireless charging plug-in. This has got the USB charging ports. So
It's even got 110 volts in it.
yeah, sure. It's got a lot of stuff going on. But now at the new location, we are able to display and bring stuff like this. And this is just one example of something that is new that people haven't seen yet.
Plus at a price you can't get anywhere else. At the family discount furniture store known as Coletta's Furniture here at 598 Wood Avenue in Woonsocket. Krakow Deli Bakery and Smokehouse offers authentic homemade Polish food to make your next meal real special. Try our many varieties of hot and fresh pierogi with onions and dirty sour cream, or pick up golubki, kielbasa, babkas, or some fresh rye bread. We also offer a large selection of specialty and imported goods. We're open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays from 9 to 6, Wednesdays 9 to 5, and Saturdays 8 to 5. Follow us on Facebook to learn about our weekly specials. Located at 855 Social Street in Woonsocket, Krakow Deli Bakery and Smokehouse has all the authentic Polish foods you love.
Hey, it's ON Radio's Cruisin' Bruce Palmer, and I'd love to have you join me every Saturday for the Saturday Block Party. We start at 4 o'clock when I open up the ON Music Vault for you to pick whatever you want to hear or send to somebody special. Yes, the good old radio request days are back. Join me for the Saturday Block Party, Saturdays from 4 until 7 on ON Radio and streaming online at Woonsocketradio.com.
All right, Coffee Ann on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Sue Tessier McKenzie and Bob Lauder. And Bob, time for your first message from your law office, please.
Thank you. Good morning. This is Attorney Bob Lauder. Just when you may think that all of the cases I discuss involve facts and humorless analysis, I'd like to talk to you
We
this
find them funny.
Okay, good. I'd like to talk to you this morning about two cases in which comic characters take a part. The first is the case of Budget Termite and Pest Control, Inc. versus Bosquet. It goes back 20 years. As many of us may remember, Don Bosquet was a famous and much enjoyed cartoonist in the late 1990s and through the early 2000s. His cartoons, usually single panel, frequently featured characters and or locations in Rhode Island. In 1999, the Providence Journal, in its comics section, published a cartoon in which two characters, wearing shirts with the name Budget Pest Control, were commiserating with the owner of a burning home and commenting, "Easy now, ma'am, this is Bill Bob's first day on the job, and them carpenter ants can be real stubborn." The Pest Control Company did not laugh. It alleged that the cartoon disparaged the services actually rendered by the company, whose name was the same as those on the shirts of the cartoon characters, and it sought financial compensation for the damages. The defendant filed a motion for summary judgment, and the decision of the Superior Court was appealed to the state Supreme Court. The court ruled that the key issue on this appeal is whether ordinary readers of this cartoon, as it appears in the comics section of the Sunday newspaper, would have reasonably understood that the author was making a defamatory communication about this particular plaintiff. The inquiry focused on the fact that a defamatory statement must be a false statement concerning a particular existing entity. The court wrote, to satisfy the of and concerning element, it suffices that the statement at issue led the listener to conclude that the speaker is referring to the plaintiff by description, even if the plaintiff is never named or is misnamed. While the characters in the cartoon were dressed in shirts which included the name of the plaintiff, or engaged in activities similar to that of the plaintiff company, the court concluded that, in our judgment, the ordinary readers of comics section in a Sunday newspaper would not usually interpret the cartoons therein as communicating true or false factual assertions, and that they were deliberately departures from reality. If you'd like to discuss legal matters with me, please call my office for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer. The Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
So the defendant won.
The defendant won.
All right, good.
Yeah.
That was that. They made the smart move.
Good.
They're just trying to get a sense of humor.
Right?
Please.
Yes.
It's just a joke.
Yeah, but the company said, "Hey, you've got my name on here, and
And
you
I-
have,
and
have
I
it looking
complete-
like my employees are incompetent."
Well,
and,
but we completely made it up and just
you know,
and
we weren't intending to.
we weren't intending to disparage you. At least we don't think so. All right. Other things going on. This happened up in Massachusetts, and I just don't understand how it happens. But maybe one way I can. Sue, you ever call for an Uber?
Nope.
Okay.
My
Bob, ever
daughter
call for an
has.
Uber?
I've my daughter's called for them. I've
Okay.
never done that.
So I have.
Okay, well,
And-
it's really 21st century.
Yes, very, very, very high tech. And when you call for an Uber or Lyft, you do it on your phone, and every single time, I know exactly what car is coming, make and model. I know the license plate, and I know the driver's name. They also
Okay.
have my name as well. So when the car when you're wherever you are, usually I'm at an airport, and you're looking for this make and model, and it also tells you how far away they are from where they're going to pick you up, which is great.
Good.
And
Yep.
okay, here it comes, and here's the license plate from whatever state it might be from, and the license plate. This is my car, and you wave them down. That's what I do. They get out of the car and they say, "Are you Joe? Yes. Are you Sam? Yes. Okay, I've got the right car," and they know exactly where they're taking me because you put that in first,
Right.
before you pay. So in Massachusetts, there's a man by the name of William Mankatez. He's going to spend some time in prison. He pled guilty to sexually assaulting 2 women because he posed as an Uber driver. So I don't understand why the women are getting into the car. You know exactly what car is coming, what license plate's coming, and who the driver's name is.
Well, I know with my daughter, when I've been with her and she's called Uber, she's very careful and does all of those kind of things. But, for people like me who used to know the difference between a 55 and a 56 Plymouth, and right now can't tell the difference between a Hyundai and a Cara, I would probably just look and say, okay, it's a car, and the guy pulled up, and
But it's got
I'm
the
not
license.
sure I'd be
it's
that
got,
careful.
It's got the license plate.
Yeah.
BL123 is with Rhode Island plates is the car that's picking you up. And not only does it make a model, they'll give you the color of the car. A white Toyota Camry is picking you up. So if a black Ford Escape shows up, hey, I'm your Uber driver, don't get in the car.
Well, I'm curious, I'm curious about all the surrounding circumstances. In other words,
Okay. And I
what
don't
time
have
of
all
day
that.
where were they? Was it an issue where you had too much to drink, called an Uber, didn't pay attention to anything that was written?
Possibly.
Or was it a situation where, hey, he's a good-looking guy, he's coming to pick me up? Because how does this guy know that they're waiting for an Uber on top of that?
If you go to the airport,
Yeah.
there's the special Uber Lyft pickup area.
Okay.
And it's separate from the buses and
Yeah.
the cabs. So if you just pull in, and most of the time the Uber cars also have a little sign that say Uber.
It's a little, yeah.
It's a little in blue.
lit up, yeah.
I actually see them driving around Woonsocket
Yep.
every now and then. But they know, okay, this is where I pull in. And you just look for people standing by waiting for a car.
Gotcha.
You go open up your car door. You waiting for an Uber? Maybe that's all they say. Maybe that's all he said. And they say yes. Well, here I am.
And now that
And then they just get
don't
in the
get me
car.
wrong, doesn't make sense that they
no.
would, because now the what I said previous is not an excuse. Now it's not like you had too much to drink, didn't pay attention to anything, so more circumstances would be needed.
Yeah.
Can you go back to the airport situation?
All right.
Now, back in the old days, again in the dark ages, you used to have taxi stands, and there'd be taxis waiting. You'd come out of the airport, and you'd take the first taxi
Literally hopped
available.
into the first
do
taxi.
do they have Uber stands the
Yes.
same way? So there's Uber cars waiting at the airport. You haven't called ahead of time to
No.
have a reservation.
No, they have to make the
You
reservation.
have to. They're not sitting there like cabs waiting for you.
Oh, okay.
Right.
All right.
And so, yeah, when I get off the plane, usually that's when I do it. Get off the plane, go find where the Uber waiting place is, and then get out your phone and call for a cab. But because you're at an airport, your wait time for a car is going to be like 5 minutes or less, because the Uber drivers know this is money.
Exactly.
If
So
I
they're
just keep
nearby.
when I drop someone off, I am circling back towards the airport, driving back.
But now they
and-
can refuse if
they
a
can.
trip is too far, because that
far to
will
them.
eat up. Right. If
money.
they're going to a hotel, you're here and
Yeah,
they
if
can
someone
refuse.
if someone lands at Logan and they say, "Okay, I need an Uber from Logan to Newport," and you're there, no, that's 2 hours down, and then 2 hours back. That's money lost.
Right.
Yep.
So I'm gonna refuse that one and wait for the next one to come in.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then they say, "Yep, okay, so it's Boston. Let's say Boston to Cambridge, which is
Right.
not that far. Okay, I'll take that one, and I'll be there in 5 minutes."
Oh, okay.
And then they accept it, and once everybody accepts, then you just wait for your car to arrive. But you got to get into the car that's assigned to you, and just don't.
You can't just get into it.
Any
And
car.
it's Bob pointing out that you walked into a taxi. Being a person that dealt with the Logan Airport daily, 5, 6, 7 times a day. The whole process is, you have your limos, they're going there. You have your taxis, they're going there. And now with Uber, I don't know where they're going because I got out of the limo business just in time. So I don't know where they are. But there was a fee involved with all of these. But taxis that you could literally just walk in and get into a taxi and bring me here, they also could refuse. Even back then, they
Yeah,
could refuse.
Where you going? Yeah.
But a lot of incidents occurred because people were, in fact, back then, getting into cars they didn't belong in. And the limos were the same.
Yeah.
One was a limo driver that brought somebody, I want to say, it began with an N, but it wasn't Newton. And I
Marshfield.
no, I can't remember. But anyway, so, and it's right on the tip of my tongue. But yeah, so she was raped by a limo driver. So, we always took the necessary precautions in the sense of, identifying people and so on. So we always did the right thing, but you never know what's going to happen out there.
So back to if you're calling for an Uber, double check all of this.
Everything.
Make, model, color of the car, especially the license plate and the driver's name. And don't say, "Oh, are you Bob?" Just say, "What's your name?"
Yeah.
And you say, "I'm Bob." Yep, Bob is my driver.
Good.
You gotta do it that way. It's always funny. I told my wife first time I did it. She goes, "So you got into a car with a stranger?" I said, "If I took a cab, I'd be getting into a car with a stranger. It's the exact same thing."
Exactly.
From our point of view. She goes, "Oh well, yeah, that's true."
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Time for a break. And Bob, time for a second message, please, from your law office.
Good morning. Thank you. This is Attorney Bob Lauder. The second case I'd like to discuss to you this morning starts off with a title called Calvin Ball Cannot Be Played in This Court.
I love
The
Calvin
sanc-
Ball.
You're going to know what happens. The sanctity of auction procedures and receiverships. The case is known as Rialto Capital Advisors versus Robert Day, LLC. The litigation involved a conflict between a receiver who'd been appointed by the Superior Court and the owner of real estate, which the receiver intended to sell, with court approval. The decision is lengthy and it sets out in detail the actions of the receiver and the responding actions of the landowner, all of which may be interesting, but not to this commercial. What is interesting this morning is the footnote the Superior Court appended to the decision. Remember, the case was entitled Calvin Ball Cannot Be Played in This Court. Now, with the exception of Joe Callahan, people may not recall this. The Superior Court Justice noted that Calvin is a boy and Hobbs is a stuffed toy, but in a popular comic strip. But Hobbs is Calvin's real-life playmate. One game that Calvin loves to play is called Calvin Ball. And for those who may not read the Sunday Funnies, let me explain the rules of Calvin Ball. When it's Calvin's turn to hit the ball, it's worth as many points as he says it is. And when Hobbs hits the ball, it's worth much less. Calvin has no out of bounds. But when Hobbs plays the same game on the field, there's ever-changing boundaries on which all of them seem to include where the ball lands. In Calvin Ball, there are no set rules, because most important rule in Calvin Ball is noted at the top of the official rules, which says, the following rules are subject to change, amendment, or deletion by the players involved. It's not often that judicial cases involve comic strip characters, but here are two of them. And I particularly like the rules of Calvin Ball, which makes me almost an equal with Joe Callahan when it comes to the joy of athletic victory. If you'd like to discuss legal matters with me, please contact my office for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. The disclaimer, the Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice.
Hobbs,
You know about Calvin
Oh, yes. Huge Calvin and Hobbes fan. Hobbs is a stuffed tiger.
Right.
And for those of you that don't know it, it's all in Calvin's imagination. That's the way I always interpret it.
Okay.
So when no one else is around,
Well, yeah, right. It's a stuffed.
Hobbs comes to
Yeah.
life.
Right.
As soon as someone else comes around, Hobbs is back to being a stuffed toy.
Exactly.
And it's just so fun. Calvin Ball is great because there are no rules.
Right.
They just make it up as they go along.
But it's
And
always to
just-
his favor.
Well, of course, because he wants to win.
Unless
And
Susie
it's-
comes along and, bangs the
and then-
stuffings
well,
out of it.
That's right. Or grabs Hobbs and runs away. I miss Calvin and Hobbs. Great
Right.
stuff. All right, more Coffee In is coming your way. Please stick around.
At Chan's, we have entertainment again for you this weekend, in addition to all that yummy food. On Friday night, tomorrow night, we have Neil and the Vipers at 8 p.m. It's $15 for a ticket, $20 if you wait to get them at the door. Electric Blues at its finest with Neil and the Vipers. Then on Saturday night, the 2nd, it's Sean Monteiro at 8 p.m. in the Four Seasons Banquet Room. $20 there, $25 at the door. Sean is one of the premier jazz vocalists of all time. At Chan's, who thank you for dropping by and wishing them well during the Lunar New Year, known as Chinese New Year, that 15-day celebration, which is sadly over now. But you can still go in and get all those yummy favorites at Chan's, 267 Main Street in Woonsocket.
No matter what your backyard looks like,
or what the forecast is.
We always have snow and guarantee it.
I've been up north. This is the best skiing around.
For the latest conditions
and discounted lift tickets,
go to whatchissit.com.
You can depend on us for public service. ON Radio.
All right, it is Coffee In here on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan with Bob Lauder, Sue Tessier McKenzie. So down there in Providence, they're going to build a temporary pallet shelter village. It's going to open this spring in Providence. And I don't know what that really means. What a pallet shelter village is. Obviously, it's for the homeless.
Right.
I get that. But what is a pallet shelter?
I'm not sure, but I saw a issue on one of the news feeds on my telephone the other day that was showing that you can buy a structure for about $12,000 that has walls, ceiling, roof, windows, doors, and it looked like almost a small cabin.
Okay.
And I would think that that might be something what they're talking about, something along those lines, because in the news article it said that they did not have indoor plumbing. They're going to have to go to a central facility to have plumbing and toilet facilities.
Community facilities, such as bathroom, showers, and laundry.
I would suspect it's something along the lines of the $12,000 little sheds that were being
But
offered.
using pallets.
I don't know.
Pallet.
Oh, they use pallets to build the
first
shelters?
of all, pallets, if you're talking about the news feed, and I think I know which one you're referencing, where the house was delivered, and the guy, you opened up the walls and the ceiling, and you made, it was pretty amazing to see.
Mm-hmm.
But with the pallets, you also see on different how-to videos, people are using pallets because they're cheap or they're free.
Yeah.
And they're in abundance. You'll see signs all over the place, free
Free
pallets.
pallets, yeah.
So they're going to be using those to build. And I'm just working off of my head right now,
Okay.
so I'm not saying this is the case. But if you look at a pallet, you have those boards of wood with space in between, right? So now imagine them stuffing that with insulation and then putting all the pallets together and then just putting siding and walls on each side of it.
Right.
So when you think of it like that, well, that kind of makes sense.
Okay. They're going to build 45 of these shelters, and they're all going to be 70 square feet in size. So back to your saying, Bob.
The
tiny.
size.
The
Very
size
small.
is going to be
10
very
by
small.
7, something like that.
Yeah. But they get locking doors, screen windows, fire safety features, electricity, and heating and cooling. It says that it's community bathrooms and
Right.
showers for them. So, okay. This is going to be built on state-owned land near 146 and 95. And for your convenience, it'll be right next to the Foxy Lady.
Oh.
How great is that?
Right.
If you need a reference of 146 and 95 and how it
Yep,
all meets,
yep.
it's right. It's on Victor Street, I think it's called, where it's going to be built. So there you go.
Okay, a good start, but a whole lot of questions arise from this.
Who gets them?
Who's going to be allowed to live there?
Yeah.
What kind of conduct do the tenants have to maintain
meet,
in
yeah.
order to continue to reside there? Are they going to be long-term for the tenants or short-term? Who's going to maintain the public facilities, the bathrooms and toilets and things like that?
Well, it's going to
It's
be
probably
built.
not included in the news article, I know that. But I
no.
think those would be issues that are going to arise. It's a good idea.
It's going to be constructed and operated by an organization called House of Hope. So
Okay.
I think those people would filter out who goes and cleans the community
Yeah. Right.
areas. Now, the question that I have for you, Bob, and it came up yesterday. Are private landlords allowed to put a stipulation in when they're renting an apartment for no smoking? Now, the Woonsocket Housing Authority, if you rent through them, they do have, you cannot smoke in their rooms.
Right.
Because that's a rule.
I'm
But
not-
private, can
I'm
they
not
put that
aware
rule in?
of anything regarding smoking. I do know that landlords run into issues where a tenant will say, I have a animal, a dog or a cat or something like that, which is an emotional support animal. And landlords are not able to have leases that say you cannot bring an animal into your property. I find that to be a little bit troubling because there's no real definition as to what the animal could be. And so you could have an animal as an emotional support animal, which might be rather terrifying to other tenants, such as I have a pet orangutan in the apartment with me. But
Clyde.
who's Clyde?
You never saw those movies? It's Clint Eastwood movies. Every Which Way But
Gonna
Loose.
say hello.
Every Which Way But Loose. Any Which Way You Can. Comedy movies. Clint had a pet orangutan.
These are talking movies, right?
Oh yeah, the orangutan didn't talk.
No, but I mean, they're not the silent movies that I recall
No,
from
no,
my
no.
youth.
This is from the late 70s. Okay, keep going.
So I don't know if there's any prohibition against a landlord refusing to allow people to smoke, but
Oh.
I would think that a landlord has the right to do that.
Okay, I just wonder if any of them ever have, and say, I want to rent to you, and here's what the rent's going to be, but there's no smoking. Now, how you enforce that, I don't know. That's out of the question. Is that what a pallet house looks like, Gary?
Gary Smith has come in with
Let me see.
Wow.
the definitive.
Yeah, that's tiny. I think my dorm room was bigger.
I don't know if he moved it.
Oh, all right. So that's what's coming. So it's basically white, and you walk in, and there it is.
Okay.
It looks like there's no
Got
kitchen
it.
facilities either, so
I
that
I
might be
wouldn't
a
think so, not in a 10
community
by
thing.
7,
Hut.
7 structure.
All
Well,
right,
it's still being out better than. It's still better.
get out of the elements.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know what? Everybody's, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this, let's help the homeless. I mean, it's a problem.
Yeah.
So if this is the beginning of something, and like you say, that there'll be a lot of questions: who's going to do what, who's
Right.
paying for what. But I think at the same time, you have to put those people that are going to be living in them in charge of
Maintaining them.
and not just their own, but work together for the better of all of you. I mean, I know that's like in a real world, right? But you know what I mean. You do have to weed out who can and can't move into these places, because you can't have them. You're not helping anybody if that's what you're doing. So it's going to be some work, but I do think it's a good idea.
All right. Well,
Yes.
it's coming this spring. So, a suspect fleeing from police in Memphis, Tennessee, at a high rate of speed. The problem is if you're going at a high rate of speed, you're using up a lot of gas, and he was running out. So
My goodness.
he stopped for gas,
Idiot.
where they then arrested him.
What an idiot.
I think that is funny. DeAndre Rogers had outstanding warrants when he tried to flee police at a high rate of speed before stopping for gas. He was surrounded by police at a Kroger gas station and then took off on foot. And he got arrested because I guess he was hungry. He was at the KFC parking lot on February 21st, and they arrested him. Several charges. I think that's funny. It's funny you say that, Sue, but this is I actually tried this one time.
Fleeing from the police?
I wasn't
And getting
I,
gas?
I wouldn't say fleeing. It's the getting gas part. And I was in Narragansett, and I was going down this particular road, and a cop passed me on the other side, and he immediately spun around. I'm like,
Hold up. I've done that. I've done that move.
All right. Well, the cop spun around.
Yeah, no. I know where you're going with it.
All right. So now I'm driving up the road. He doesn't have his lights on. He's not pulling me over, but he is a little ways back. Maybe I was going too fast. I don't know. But at the end of the road was a gas station, and it was pump building, more pumps. So I swung around the building where I couldn't be seen from the road to get. But I did need gas. But he pulled in right behind me. And and he goes, and I was getting out of the car, and he was right there, and license and registration, fine, license and registration, gave it to the cop, and then I actually said to myself, Sue, I said, why am I just sitting here? I actually came to get gas. So while he was writing out my ticket, I started pumping my gas.
There you go.
That's kill two birds with
Idle
one
time
stone.
is wasted time.
You're absolutely right. Why am I going to wait for him to come back when I can
Excuse
get
me.
it done?
Do you mind if I continue with what I was
No,
doing?
I didn't ask him.
Fleeing the police.
I was not fleeing. I was not.
That's
Anyway, but one of those
There's
deals.
got to be a different name for that one.
Yeah, it's odd
Avoidance.
because, but
I was thinking more along the lines of stupidity.
but I think I've gotten maybe 3 speeding tickets in my entire career of driving, and every single time I get caught going 35 in a 30-mile-an-hour zone, which bothers me to no end.
Well, yeah, because you know what? If you're going to do it, do it.
That's right.
Go big or go home.
I mean, I should. If I'm 35, I should be doing 70 down this road to really
Go
get a ticket.
big or go home.
I'm like, boy, it's a slow day, and that's in 3 different communities. getting stopped, but yeah, I got that one in Narragansett gave me a ticket. I don't know, $50 fine or whatever it was at the time, but yeah. And then I finished taking my gas, and then I was on my
that
way.
led credence to why you pulled over. Yeah. Okay, good.
Well, and for me, keeping in mind, I work on the road and be with the limos.
Yeah.
And I will never forget, because I had a boss at the time. This was before I owned my own, and before the center of Bellingham was built and all of that stuff. And I will never forget, man, I would have to drive through Bellingham at higher than normal rates of speed because my boss booked me to do something.
Yeah,
So anyway, one officer in particular, so I'm speeding through, Crook's Corner,
Yeah.
which had no lights. There were no lights at Crook's
At
Corner.
that time,
just
okay.
Back in the day that you would remember, Bob. And I got pulled over like in 1 week 3 times. So the first time, all right, take it slow, whatever. The next time I'm like, this is like the next day. I'm like, damn, if it's a different officer, I have a chance.
Yeah.
Nope, same cop.
Same cop.
And he walked over to the car, And he looked at me, Nell Arcan, that was his name. What a man he was. What a great guy. And he looked at me, he goes, "You again?" I said, "Yeah, well, my boss is booking me too close on things." He goes, "Well, the third time, and we're going for a ride, young lady. Get out of here." But the third time it wasn't really a pullover. It was at night. I had the limo, and another of the Bellingham police officers that we used to drive to the airport saw it was me, and then he had a rookie with him, and the rookie's like with the flashlight on my car.
Oh, yeah, looking for everything.
The other guy said, get in the car. So I never got a Bellingham
No?
ticket.
Oh,
No.
All right.
Hard to be, under the wire when you're driving in a limousine.
Yeah, I know.
whoa.
It's tough to be.
Yeah, that's sort of
you stand
noticeable.
out
Well,
from all the
two
others.
of the three, I didn't have a limo. I had my own car. I had to rush to Hopkinton to get the car. So
I
that's
see.
where the problem came from.
That's so funny.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, I thought I was getting away with something by hiding behind the building.
Nope.
And maybe he goes, well, maybe he went that way or that way, but he saw me pull around the building. So he was right there when I got out of the car.
Yeah,
So,
they don't miss a trick.
No, they're pretty quick. All right, that'll do it for the show for today. Thank you very much for listening in. As always, Bob Lauder, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for inviting me. Hope to be with you next week.
All right. Sue, thanks for coming in.
Thank you, and have a great rest of the week.
All right, this is Joe Callahan. Have yourself a wonderful day, and stay tuned for Gary Smith and the crew. Do your remembers at 9:30 here on ON Radio.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news. The United States Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA,